has reportedly said he has made up his mind on who his running mate will be and that he knows who he is going to choose. So I made a video a few days ago going over who I thought President Trump's top contenders for vice president were. And unsurprisingly, a lot of them are on this list. But Trump has announced today through, I believe, a few reporters that he has basically made up his mind on who his running mate will be. I'll go through some of the details of the article here that Trump was asked who his VP would be, and he says in his mind that he's made up his mind that he knows who he's going to choose. But he says that nobody else knows. He hasn't told the person, or I don't think he's told any of his staffers most likely, but President Trump knows who he is going to choose as VP. And as I mentioned, some of the familiar names that I did go over in my prior video, Doug Burgum, Senator Vance, and Senator Rubio, as well as others who received vetting, Tim Scott, Tom Cotton, Elise Stefanik, and Byron Donalds. If you watched my former video, you know I went over all these people. And if you haven't watched it, please go feel free to check it out. I'd really appreciate that. And I think I gave some good insight for each person that could be Trump's VP. But I just wanted to mention this because I think this is very interesting that Trump says he knows who his VP is going to be. He also said, and I believe another part that's not covered in this article, but he did mention the VP will be at the debate with him, or will be at like his watch party for the debate with him. And that's very interesting. I also don't expect Trump to only have one person with him for his debate, because I think that will be very obvious that who his VP will be. I think he'll bring a bunch of the top contenders for his VP to the debate, and each of them perhaps will be like, wait, is it me? Is it someone else? It all sounds, I mean, not just to be obvious because it's Trump, but this all sounds very Celebrity Apprentice about President Trump. That he's bringing all the top contenders to like his watch party for the debate, even though he already knows who the VP is going to be. This sounds very Celebrity Apprentice, but that's just something interesting I wanted to mention really quick. So now I just want to talk about who the VP could actually be. A few days ago, I had Tim Scott being number one. I thought at the time that Tim Scott made the most sense. He would probably have the best impact electorally of helping Trump out. It could still be him, but all things considered, it would seem the stock on him has definitely fallen. And Doug Burgum, who I had at number 2, is now the betting odds favorite to be Trump's VP. And I went over some pros and cons in that video, but I'll just do it quickly again. Governor from North Dakota showed his loyalty to President Trump. Would definitely be a more calming, stable choice to Trump. Honestly, a pretty good comparison to him could be similar to what Mike Pence brought in 2016, where Trump was kind of the lots of energy, lots of bombastic statements, and Mike Pence is more of like the calming hand, calming force that wouldn't make much media attention. And Burgum is kind of like that for Trump, but Burgum, I think, is also more loyal to Trump in the way that he defends Trump's statements and things of that nature a lot more. So Burgum has become the betting favorite to be Trump's VP. And I kind of knew that making this video about who Trump's VPs could be, I'm not shocked that Tim Scott's no longer in the running, just because, you know, politics is so volatile. Like, people fade in and out. Things change. Plus, President Trump has been very known for being kind of unpredictable, and things change in the electoral world very, very quickly. So I'm not shocked. But Doug Burgum, I put at number 2, and I put him there for a reason. I was really back and forth between Burgum and Scott, and I was buying into Burgum being Trump's potential VP kind of earlier on, like back in the wintertime, because I thought Burgum, for one, Trump showed no hesitation in praising him, even when he was still a candidate, when Burgum was still a candidate. But also, it kind of just makes sense. If Trump wants someone who will be his vice president, who will be with him, who won't cause like media problems or gaffes or anything, someone that'll just help him do the job. And he may run in 2028, he may not, Doug Burgum. But even if he does, that won't be a distraction for Trump too much. I think Burgum would just be a very good choice to help him do the job. So Doug Burgum's been the one that's been getting the most attention for who many people are saying is the betting odds favorite to be Trump's VP. Now, if I had to guess, I do think it'll be Burgum. But another person whose name I've been hearing a lot more recently is actually someone who's my number 5 choice, who's Senator J.D. Vance from Ohio. J.D. Vance, I could absolutely see being Trump's VP due to the fact that they're pretty much agreed on almost all the policies. Vance would just be like a younger version of Trump on the policy issue. My only real gripe with Vance was he was elected in 2022, so not a ton of experience. But also, if he were to become VP, there would have to be a special election, I believe, the next election cycle, so 2022 or 2021, or I'm sorry, 2025 or 2026. I'm just not sure if Trump would want to put the Republican Party in Ohio through that. That'd be the third election cycle in a row with the Senate election, but I mean, maybe that's not actually a concern. It would probably stay Republican anyway, but just something to think about. Vance is definitely trying to get a Trump-like politician of the future, potentially in Trump's eyes. If you want someone who's going to stay on his brand of politics, on his issues, on his experience with the media, Vance could kind of be like the Trump era parent when it comes to trying to get him ready to be president and run for 2028. Vance is someone I think would definitely have interest in running 2028 and would probably become the front runner to run if he were to be Trump's VP. He's young. He's got plenty of time. He would definitely be the next one up by Trump appointing him VP if he does win the 2024 election. So Vance I could absolutely see. Burgum, there's maybe more questions on if he would run, and even if he did, it's not 100% a lock that he would be the nominee. I think Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida is almost certainly going to run in 2028. He already ran in 24. He definitely wants to be president. At that point, DeSantis will be out of office for 2 years, though, so he may be out of the media attention. Whereas if Vance is the vice president, he'll be in the media attention, not all the time, but pretty much a decent amount. And that'll definitely be an advantage for him. But, of course, who the 2028 Republican nominee will be, that's a video for a long time away. But you can start to see the seeds of maybe a DeSantis versus Vance contest could be the case if Trump were to choose him. So Vance is now the second in the betting odds to become Trump's VP. Number 3 is Marco Rubio, who I had at number 4, so not too far off. Rubio, again, he's similar to Vance in that he's a younger senator. He's a little different than Vance in that he's more not 100% aligned with Trump on a lot of issues, although he doesn't really talk about it too much, but Vance is 100% Trump loyalist, Trump endorsed from the beginning. Trump's pretty much the reason he won the primary. Rubio is definitely not that. He ran against Trump in 2016. They had a lot of fiery, clashy moments, which I mentioned as a few of his cons would be those clips he could bring up. Rubio, I think, definitely could make sense for Trump's VP. But again, I mentioned the issue with 2 candidates, VP and president, being from the same state. I don't think it's legally allowed to happen. Of course, there's some gray areas, so maybe they can get around it. Maybe they can't. I'm not too sure. But Rubio is someone I always kind of saw his name as being Trump's VP, and it just doesn't make too much sense to me personally. I think Burgum or Vance is more likely at this point. But he seems to be getting a lot of attention and being a finalist for the position, so I would not be too shocked if it is Rubio, but I think of the 3, he's in my bottom 3 for now. And then, of course, there's other names like Ben Carson, who I definitely think is being a little bit slept on in terms of who Trump's VP could be. He's been very loyal to Trump since 2016. He's never said a bad word about him. I think something that Trump definitely values. So he's someone to keep an eye on. Elise Stefanik, if Trump does want to go with a woman as his vice president, I think she would be the top choice. Byron Donalds, I think, while he could be a very good VP for Trump, I think his time may be in 2028. I don't think it'll be now. Maybe he runs for governor in a few years of Florida, but I don't think his time for VP is now. So I'm not going to do a whole new video on re-ranking my vice presidential candidates because, I'm pretty much going over all of them again in this video anyway. So if I was going to just change it and say who I think Trump's VP will be right now, I'm going to go with Doug Burgum, who I had at number 2. I think he, as the reasons I've gone over, he makes the most sense to me. Vance I would have as the runner-up to Burgum. I don't think it's Tim Scott anymore. I think Scott's definitely fallen out of the contention for VP. Burgum is who I'm picking to be Trump's VP at this point. It's really interesting how this is developed because Burgum, I think, wasn't the obvious pick, but it was was becoming more and more obvious as kind of like the media cycle went on and he was defending Trump at the New York courthouse. It kind of makes more sense, like in hindsight, if he does choose Burgum. But of course, we won't actually know until Trump announces who his VP will be. I am making a sure bet that Trump will have more than just one person at the watch party who could be his VP, just to kind of throw everyone off the scent of whoever he's choosing. I think Burgum and Vance will both be there. I believe Rubio will be there. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. But yeah, just again, Trump has decided who his running mate is going to be. He's not making that information, I believe, available anytime soon. I still think he's planning to announce it about a week or two before the convention in July for the Republican Party. But Trump says his mind is made up. He knows who it is. And I'm thinking it's Doug Burgum with a possibility of it being J.D. Vance. But I'm interested to hear who you think it's going to be. Leave a comment below telling me what you think. Also, feel free to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video.